afternoon, awesome 7th graders. This is Mr. Brock, here to give you your video study guide for Chapter 10.3 and Chapter 10.4. So let's get started with some key terms that you need to know for your upcoming quiz that you will take tomorrow, Thursday, September 26th. So a couple key terms that you should be familiar with are what were paterfamilias. So what were they? This was the head of the house in Roman households. Simply, that's all that it means. The next key term that you need to know is patronage. What is patronage? So patronage is support, essentially, is what patronage means. If you supported somebody, you are a patron of them. Think about kind of Patreon. That's what's used a lot on YouTube artists. They set up like a Patreon website where you can donate money to them, to their artistic work. The next key term would be bread in circuses. So what does that mean? Bread in circuses essentially was a way for the upper class of Rome to keep the lower classes distracted. So it was a way to distract the masses. They did this by giving out free food at these events, having events at the Colosseum where they would sometimes do sea battles in the middle of the Colosseum, which was super cool. The next key term you need to know is, what is a gladiator? So what were they? These people were often forced to fight to the death, right? So they were basically captured and used to fight in arenas, basically for the masses, for bread in circuses. The next key term you need to know is, what were aqueducts? So these were water transportation systems that Romans used to use. They would bring water over a great distance into certain areas. Let's see, the next thing you want to know, what is manumission? So manumission was ability to be able to buy one's freedom if you were a slave, based on good behavior. So you could earn your way through having good behavior and then buying that freedom. Some other key things you need to make sure you're familiar with for tomorrow. In ancient slave, most former slaves became free by, what did they do? How did they do it? That was through purchasing of their own freedom. And then another thing you make sure you want to know is, what languages were rooted in Latin. This would have been like Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, other ones like that. Make sure you don't get this confused with Germanic or German languages. Germanic, so the Romans fought a lot of the Germanic tribes, so they didn't know Latin, so their root language was not developed from Latin, if that makes sense. So make sure you're aware of that. The last thing you want to make sure you're aware of would be, one other question would be, what were the Rome's ideals of justice and what were they reflected in? Remember, we talked about this before we left class. This was the 12 tables, right? These were guarantees, kind of like some laws that were written for everyone to see in public for the lower classes. If you have any questions on the study guide, what I would explain today, please let me know. I'd be happy to help you. Thank you and have a great day.